All right, welcome to the great debate number 2. This is an Olympic style debate. Olympians are make up every debater on this panel. I'm so excited. Today we are debating, should organizations buy or build their people analytics platform and solution. So I am Dan Riley, co-founder of Radical. I'm super excited to be moderating. We have a lot to get through, so we're going to move very quickly. I would love a little interaction while I kick us off. Where are you from? Just dropping into chat. What city, country, location, whatever you want to say. Love to hear from all of you, and then we can just see who's joining us. Wow. All right. Thank you. Mississippi, DC, New York. Awesome representation. This is good. Okay, so I first want to introduce the great debate. Again, we are all about breaking down silos and building connections through meaningful dialogue and debate. So through this series, we expect and hope and believe we will facilitate amazing connection and advance mutual understanding. It is a learning opportunity, and it's meant to be fun. This is a punk rock version of change making, right? We're all showing up, we're doing something different, we're trying something different. We might make a few mistakes, but ultimately that's what changes things and moves us forward. So really fast, I want to talk about what the great debate is structurally. We will start with opening statements. So team build will go. All 3 members, 2 minutes each in their opening statement. Then we move over to team buy, and I will introduce everybody in a moment. Before that, we will start with a quick vote. We want to get everybody's feeling. You all decide who the winner is, but in the beginning, we want to start. Who do you think's going to win? Right? What do you believe? So we're going to do that vote in a moment. After opening statements, we'll do a quick sense check. And this is for not to be public, but just to get a sense of how things are trending, and we will share that later. So that's the second vote. Then we go into rebuttals. Again, this is where we go build, then buy, build, then buy, build, then buy. So we'll do a back and forth. This is super fun. This is where the boxing gloves, anybody who has boxing gloves, please show them. And then we go into conclusions, and each team has 2 minutes to make their final argument. So I want to introduce team buy, which is Craig Starbuck, Tomeka Hill Thomas, and Michael Moon. So an amazing team. But they are against team build, and we will open up with Roxanne Laczo in a moment, David Shontz, and Yuyan Sun. So we have an incredible, I will call it a battle in front of us. And I am so excited and proud to be a part of this. And the participation is amazing. I can't wait to look at all the locations and everybody joining. And I also want to can't move forward without introducing and saying thank you to Kinsey, who is my partner in crime in this. There she is on camera. Hey, Kinsey. So without further ado, I want to start the first vote. So Izzy, if you could put up the first poll vote. And this is, what do you think organizations should do? Buy or build? And we have about 3 minutes. Well, we have exactly 3 minutes to do this. So please put in your vote. Again, your vote is so important. Even if you're not sure, go with your instinct on this. We really would love as much participation from all of you as possible. And while we're doing this, a few logistics. We have the chat you're all using. Keep chats coming in. You can even taunt our debaters a little bit, but in a playful and nice way, of course. We have a Q&A that will open up, and we'll review towards the end. We're going to save a little time after we announce the winner, and a little before for Q&A. So do place very intentionally focused questions in Q&A, but in chat, have fun, keep the dialogue going. I want to thank People Analytics World and Barry and his amazing team, Barry Swells, if you don't know him, he's behind camera, invisible here. But People Analytics is the go-to conference series for digital HR, and really any and all people analytics professionals to learn about how to drive business value from people data, right? This flagship event started in London. I was so happy to be speaking there last year. It was so much fun. It's been a regular fixture for really influential figures and speakers in this field since 2014. So about 10 years now, which is awesome. And they've been working with their longtime collaborator and conference chair, who I'm sure you all know, Mr. David Green, who's been a part of that as well. It's spread into Amsterdam and Zurich into 2023, and it's coming into New York on October 2nd and 3rd. So this is super exciting. So for those of you in New York, you should definitely be there. For those of you who want to travel, you should go. And to learn more about People Analytics World, just go to peopleanalyticsworld.com. You can find out more. And Barry or Izzy will be posting, if we haven't already, I'm sorry, I can't see chat right now. We'll be posting a promo code that will reduce the fee as well. So I also want to thank Pearson. They are an awesome organization who are helping with our official accreditation of our speakers. So they're one of our sponsors. So thank you, Pearson. So everybody and all of you will be getting a digital badge. And this is powered by Credly, which is a revolutionary, super cool product. So thank you, Pearson. We really appreciate your support and being a part of this debate. So I think we're probably getting pretty close to time on the first poll, and I cannot wait. Just time's up. I mean, and there's the bell. I should have mentioned the bell. This is, you know, we had to cut budget, so we have to use I'm kidding. We just love the actual bell. All right, so let's see the results in a moment. You know, this is going to be such a close debate, I'm predicting. Wow. All right. So team buy, 54%. Team build, 46%. This is anybody's game. So team build, you have a little bit of work to do. But I'm convinced you can do it. Team buy, you already have the lead. So you just got to keep doing your magic. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Roxanne Laczo, and she's going to kick off the conversation and with opening statements. So from Team Build, Roxanne, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. So I actually want to take a step back and first ask a bigger question. What is people analytics truly? Is it fancy, shiny dashboards? Is it plug and play tools with bells and whistles? Is it wrangling data from source systems? Is it actionable reports? True people analytics transcends all of these. Yet this debate implies a simple dichotomy to what is really a very, very complicated and nuanced decision. The foundation of people analytics has deep roots that go back decades. Many fields have been using data-driven techniques to study workplace behavior to optimize organizational performance for over a century. This is people analytics. Journal of Applied Psychology for my IO people, founded in 1917 with hopeful optimism about the potential of psychology being applied to practical problems that can enhance human happiness, well-being, and effectiveness. This is people analytics. Personnel Psychology, founded in 1948 with the intention of studying science and people. This is people analytics. People analytics today is a natural evolution of the practices and research methodologies that have been around for decades, except now it is often guided, I might even say misguided, by the decision to use a vendor-based solution or not. These solutions are simply substitutes for core knowledge and skill gaps that exist in organizations. Your competitive advantage is not defined by what tools you buy, but rather by what decisions your leaders are able to make as a result of your insights and your partnerships with them. This requires institutional knowledge, cultural mindset, individual skills and relationships that a tool will never be able to substitute for. Organizations are unique and complicated and need unique and complicated solutions because they have unique and complicated problems that cannot simply be identified or solved by a dashboard or an actionable report. The tools do not solve the problems. The people solve the problems. Let's bring the people back into people analytics.
Dan, you're on mute.
Perfect. All right. I think next up we have David.
Very good. Thanks, Roxanne. So some years ago, I was tasked to bring analytics into HR at Nokia. I was faced with this exact question, buy or build. At the time, we made the decision to go the build route, and for several prime reasons. One was cost. The other was a changing data environment. And the third was our reluctance to hand over our HR data to a third party. Well, I can say during that period, I'm glad we did. Okay. We were able to quickly, with a couple contract resources, a seconded IT resource from our team, we rapidly spun up advanced visualized products. Our Excel scorecards, our standard reports, our 50-page PowerPoint decks, all in a matter of weeks, really became valuable analytics tools. And that started us. And we just continued to build. We continued to build the capabilities of the team. We started building and did build our HR data platform. We were able to integrate new data sources and new use cases from them, all under our own control, because we're moving at the speed of need. And when you build, you're in control of your data, and only you know your data best, right? You know your data sources, you know your data sets, you know your data quality, you know what's ready, what's clean, what needs work to get it useful, and you can fix it. You're in control of it. And you're also in control of the solutions that you're building. You know when you need to pivot, you know when you need to adapt. And these can all be customized as well based on the customer's demands and needs. I mean, organizations are dynamic, and the solutions need to be too. When you build, you have the capability and flexibility to change just about all of that. We can tailor, we can extract, aggregate, create new use cases, co-create with our customers, and just continue to add value.
Sorry, David, have to cut you off.
Thanks, David. From Team Build, and the final speaker for Team Build opening statements, Yuyan Sun, the floor is, or the ring is yours.
Thank you, everyone. Okay. Put a finger down if you had to re-implement a PA solution month after the initial rollout because the vendor's data pipeline failed. Another finger down if you witnessed the implementation dragging on for 9 months due to a weak data foundation, leading the business to ultimately pull the plug. The consequences: wasted time, frustrated teams, and lost trust. These are not hypotheticals. As someone who has both bought and built PA solutions, I have heard a lot of fallacies that you will hear from the buy side today. So let me review what's really at stake. First, they'll promise quick implementation. The truth, the plug and play rollout only happens if you have data foundation that is flawless, which never is. If you haven't yet had those long conversations about how to define headcount or promotions at your organization, guess what? You'll need to have them now, only with the vendor's meters running at the same time. Next, they'll claim faster time to value. While it's true that PA solutions can help you build and share dashboards very quickly, ask yourself, is data democratization really what your business needs right now? Just because you can roll out dashboards doesn't mean people will use them. And if you don't have those resources to drive large-scale adoption, this so-called speed might not be as valuable as it seems. Lastly, they'll say they'll take on data integration for you, but your data might end up in a black box. When something goes wrong, you're left waiting for days for vendor support. Plus, not having access to those integrated data severely limits your ability to do true analytics. And in the end, you're merely creating dashboards without reaping the full benefits of your data. So the choice is clear. Do you want a one-size-fits-all solution that leaves you dependent on vendors, or a tailored system that puts you in control? choose wisely, choose to build.
Well, amazing arguments by Team Build. Thank you, Roxanne, David, Yuyan. And now we are off to Team Buy. And Craig, you are the opening speaker. The floor or ring is yours.
So prior to getting into PA, I spent the majority of my career in data engineering. And as such, I entered PA with a strong preference for building people data infrastructure. I've now built PA functions at 6 companies over the past 10 years, and I've seen how both build and buy decisions play out multiple times. Based on these collective experiences, I am convinced that buying is the right choice today. After all, even teams that build ultimately have to buy solutions, such as expensive BI tools and employee listening platforms. My naivete, coming from a data eng background, resulted in some painful lessons about how challenging it is to design, build, and support data models that suit the analytics use cases PA teams need to tackle. The reality is vendors have already solved this challenge, and there's no longer a reason to endure the long and painful journey that is trying to replicate what's already available. In the year 2024, we have the good fortune of a vendor landscape offering highly customizable solutions to accommodate the unique requirements of each company, something that didn't exist when I first entered PA. What's more, these vendors function as an extension of our PA teams, enabling us to hire fewer FTEs and gain immediate access to capabilities that would otherwise take years to build. So ultimately, the question isn't really whether we should build or buy. The question is about what the business needs PA teams to do. And spoiler alert, HR doesn't care about our data pipelines and models. They need strategic decision support through actionable workforce intelligence, and they need it quickly and they need it reliably. So why delay the production of insights with a long, difficult, and unnecessary journey, replicating what vendors have already solved, when for a fraction of what it would cost to build, we can just get started doing what we were hired to do?
Awesome. Thank you, Craig. All right, Tomeka, number 2.
Thank you. Buying people analytics solutions is the best choice for most organizations, particularly those still developing their analytics capabilities. While there are some teams that have the expertise to build in-house, many, especially the smaller organizations, are transitioning from basic HR reporting to more advanced analytics. For these organizations, purchasing a solution enables faster progression along the people analytics maturity curve. I argued 3 advantages for buying. 1, you gain access to experience and expertise. Vendors bring specialized knowledge, the latest methodologies, and a proven track record from working with various clients. 2, it's faster and more efficient. Vendors aren't starting from scratch, allowing organizations to benefit from analytics sooner. And 3, it frees up time for high-value tasks. Instead of focusing on tedious, time-consuming processes, your team can concentrate on strategic initiatives only humans can do. Ultimately, buying people analytics solutions allows organizations to focus on the critical issues like L&D planning, succession planning, ESG, strategic workforce planning. It removes the need to hire specialized talent, build tools from scratch, or worry about the complexities of new technologies. This approach enables organizations to move beyond basic metrics and make strategic recommendations that optimize the workforce for better business outcomes. In conclusion, purchasing a people analytics solution offers a quicker, more efficient path to unlocking the full potential of data analytics. It allows the organization to achieve better results and advance their analytics journey. Thank you.
Love it. Thank you, Tomeka. All right, Michael Moon, the floor is yours as the final speaker for Team Buy.
Thank you, Dan. So in today's competitive business landscape, making informed decisions about your workforce is critical to staying ahead. That's why investing in a dedicated people analytics platform is not just a smart choice, it's a strategic imperative. These platforms enable faster time to value, unparalleled flexibility, and better peace of mind around the protection of employee data. Imagine having the ability to analyze your workforce with the precision and depth that only a specialized platform can offer. Many organizations struggle with limited people resources or the right skills to deliver analytics at scale. While building a solution might seem like a way to customize specific needs, the reality is that it often lacks the advanced user functionality and immediate benefits that come standard with a dedicated platform. Moreover, the vendors who build these specialized platforms are setting our users for success as in the user interface, because it's been designed by experts who understand both human computer design and the behavioral science behind technology adoption. Just because you build it doesn't mean they will come. Consider the challenge of leveraging a human capital management vendor's in-house capabilities and analytics metrics dashboard products. Think about the way that those metrics are visualized and calculated, and that lack of flexibility because you're stuck with the way they've defined it. So most PA platforms actually provide the flexibility, allowing you to customize metrics, switch charts, show trends, adjust data visualizations. And so doing that yourself can be very costly. And lastly, security and compliance are non-negotiable in today's data-driven world. Leading vendors invest heavily in these areas, ensuring your data is protected and compliant with regulations like GDPR. Some might argue for the privacy and security of keeping data in-house, but the level of insurance and investment provided by specialized platforms is challenging to replicate internally.
Time's up.
Significant costs.
Well, thank you, Michael, and thanks to all of the opening arguments. This was awesome, great perspectives for both Team Build and Buy. So what we want to do now is we want to do a sense check, and this is for all of you, all the listeners, to cast another vote. This won't be public until the end. So Izzy, you can put that poll up on the screen and we can start that vote. Perfect. I do want to, one thing I want to clarify is how do we choose the winner? And the way we choose the winner is very simple. Whoever moves the percentage the most from the initial vote, remember Team Buy was at 54%, Team Build was at 46%. So whoever moves the gap in the percentage the most and has at least 25% of the vote, which won't be a problem, they are crowned the winner. So just wanted to let you all know that. So your votes are really important. Again, this sense check, we'll just share as we're going at the end to kind of see, how were we trending? Where was Team Build? Where was Team Buy halfway through? And then at the end, we'll present the final results. So as we're voting, I also want to announce we are super excited. We are taking the Great Debate on the road in person in London. And this will be on September 12th in person in London. UCL School of Management is sponsoring this event. We're also partnering up with People Analytics World as well. This will be a super awesome, about 100-person event on the 12th in London. So if you happen to be in London or you live in London or you want to travel to London, please show up. We'd love to have you there. And that will, after that, that concludes the end of season 1 of the Great Debate, and just wait what we're planning for season 2 of the Great Debate. A lot more to come about that. So I think the poll is probably ending in a moment. I'm going to predict based on my internal time clock, but we'll find out in a moment. And after the poll ends, perfect. Thank you. I hope we got a lot of votes on this. And again, we will share those results at the end, but not now. This is just a sense check in the middle. So now we get into the boxing gloves are coming on. We want to get into the rebuttals, and the way the rebuttals start, it will start first with the order of rebuttals, and make sure I get this right. It's going to be Team Build and then Team Buy, Team Build, then Buy, then Team Build, then Buy. So we go back and forth in this case. So the first speaker of Team Build is Roxanne. So Roxanne, you start with the first rebuttal.
Right, thank you. And so I did bring my boxing gloves for this, and thank you, everybody. Loved hearing all the different perspectives. I think the buy side of this debate is really neither necessary nor sufficient to enable meaningful and impactful people analytics. The reality is we've been doing this very successfully for decades before any of the current solutions or vendors existed. The tools proclaim to be the answer, but we know that they're not, because the challenges that we face exist with or without these tools. Getting business partners on board, getting people to go to the tools, driving adoption, enhancing data literacy, organizational readiness for making changes off of insights, fighting for resources, headcount, et cetera. There's no tool on earth that helps us solve these challenges. If you are at a place in your PA team where you don't have a consistent definition of metrics, you don't know where to go, you don't know where to start, build versus buy is not even the problem or the challenge that you're facing. You have a way more fundamental challenge that you need to address in terms of what you're trying to do. And if you have the support to do that, before you even think about building versus buying. I think also that, Tomeka, I really actually loved your comments about we need to be able to focus on the real challenges. And I think if you need the tool to do those things and the tool goes away, your competitive advantage as a people analytics team and leader goes away. You can always substitute a tool for another tool, which makes the tool actually irrelevant. What you cannot substitute are the people, the skills, and the organizational mindset around using people data to drive business decisions. These vendors exist because they identified a business opportunity and because they want to make money. The reality is that they serve to subvert the skills and the cultural mindset that are really necessary to solve organizational problems.
Thank you, Roxanne. All right, Craig, you are up to rebut this argument, or the general argument, not just Roxanne, but if you'd like to, she's got the gloves.
Roxanne, I wish I had some boxing gloves myself, but I don't. So I'll use some words. Yes, we have built for a long time, but does that mean we should keep doing things the way we always did before great vendors arrived on the scene? I would say no. I would say it's important to evolve with the times and advancements in technology. I think we do agree on one thing, though. I think you mentioned that competitive advantages are not defined by a tool, but how the data are used. I absolutely agree with that. And I also think to the extent we can expedite the process of generating all of the rudimentary dimensions and metrics, which can be informed by vendors, by the way, especially for new teams, we can move on to more strategic questions and more advanced analytics. There was a note around data quality in the opening remarks, and I would say neither a build nor a buy solution will address data quality issues. Data quality is really independent of those solutions. I'm going to cite a good friend of mine who I believe coined the term people data supply chain, Richard Rosenow. And so if you think about the erroneous data which seeps into data marts, whether it's an internal data mart or an external vendor supported data mart, the data quality are really addressed or should be addressed upstream, whether it's the technology in our core HR systems, or it's operations, or it's the policies and procedures or lack thereof that are driving the way in which we operationalize business processes. That's where data quality issues originate, and that's where they should be addressed. I also want to address the mention of integrated data. So vendors actually allow access to integrated data to support advanced analytics use cases. That hasn't always been the case, but that is now the case for multiple vendor platforms. And so if you need an external vendor to support that, they do today.
Time's up.
All right. Well done, Roxanne and Craig. We are back to team build. David, the floor is yours for your rebuttal.
All right, very good. Yeah, some good points. I think one of the things I challenge is the definition being used of creativity and flexibility within a vendor dependent environment. If your core strategic issues change and you fundamentally need to bring in new data from outside your normal core systems and core platforms, for example, COVID, bring in traveler data, bring in survey data, bring in outside data from your facilities, bring in XYZ. When you build the capability in your teams to do that, we can aggregate, integrate, and visualize in a meaningful way any types of things to solve these sorts of issues that come up that are strategic. Where do we invest in the future? What sites do we get into? These are data-rich problems that we can help solve, and we can do it because we can create, stitch, and aggregate the things we need from our data platform or add new sources to our data platform at will. And this enables a robust purview across multiple dimensions, including external provided data. So when we talk about flexibility, I'm thinking, if you really think about it, if you had to spin something up fairly quickly using new data sources in an easily visualized way in a vendor-dependent environment, I don't know whether you pack a big lunch or a big wallet, but you need to think about it because that flexibility just isn't there. When you build the capabilities of your team, you build the capabilities of your environment, you have freedom and flexibility to tailor solutions to meet the business needs. These are constantly changing. And the advanced analytics piece, if you have your capabilities built in the team, you start building recommendation engines. You start using technology like machine learning and AI. It's perfect.
Time's up.
Great points, David. All right, Tomeka, Team Buy, you're up.
All right, thank you. So the build team have articulated several good points, and I'm going to address a few of them directly. One, I love the point made about the deep organizational thought that build teams usually have a better understanding of the culture, the processes, and the challenges. That's very specific to their organization. They understand the data intrinsically, and they understand, internally what is going on. My argument to that is that for some organizations, some that are smaller and are just early in their people analytics journey, a lot of them do not have the appropriate people, the right team. So they will have to do a lot of hiring to bring them in to do it. Well, this team, they're going to have to learn the culture. They're going to have to learn the data. They're going to have to learn the process. That's no different than what a vendor has to do. Same thing, except the difference is the vendor already has the experience. A lot of people think that the questions that organizations are talking about or asking themselves regarding their people, but these questions are actually very similar, particularly if you're in the same industry as well. So a vendor can immediately come in and understand implicitly, okay, I know what is needed. I know the data that we need, and I know how to help you get there because we have seen this before. A second point that I would like to bring up is the employee engagement. I totally agree with Roxanne's statement that people think that this tool is going to be the be-all, end-all of solving everything. No, a tool is just that. It is a tool. It is the people in the company who uses the tool to help make strategic decisions. It doesn't matter which tool it is. You can switch it in and out. You can switch vendors out. The point of the vendor is to help you get the solution so that you can make the decision.
Time's up.
All right, great points. And Yuyan, you are up next from Team Build for your rebuttal.
Guess what? We don't have one, but two boxers on Team Build.
I know, it's kind of unfair.
I want to address first Craig's point that data engineering is painful. When I started doing data engineering about 10 years ago, that was absolutely true. Over the last decade, I have seen it become increasingly easier. I think the buy team is forcing us into this dichotomy that whether either we buy a PA solution or not. The truth is, data platform with a data warehouse and a presentation layer is nothing new. Many general purpose platforms have built over the time, built advanced data pipelines and ETL solutions that takes away the pain from data engineering. And they've also investing in increasingly, Gen AI driven low code platforms and Gen AI driven data visualizations, and you can reap the benefits from them, right? So I would just say that, chances are your organization is already using a general purpose solution to do analytics in other verticals. Why limit your options and opportunities to be on an integrated platform with your enterprise data, right? I think the PA solution, PA specific data solution is doing the easy part of people analytics. The hard part, like building a strong data foundation, building trust and partnership with your business, like that, get your business ready for change. That part, they're not helping us to solve it. So here's my advice. Even if you are really wanting to buy and ready to buy, try to build something first. Have a conversation with your IT team, your BI team, your other vertical analytics team to understand existing capabilities and tools. Chances are they will work out. And even if they don't work out, you now have a very strong business case to say, it doesn't work out. I need more money to buy this PA solution, right? So build first, and that is my advice for everyone.
Time's up.
Thank you, Michael. You are to
Awesome.
close us out and
Okay.
rebuttals. Floor is
So
yours.
I am actually going to comment on the very last comment about, build first and then look to buy. I would argue that that might be the case in many places. I think where many of us are who've been in this field for a while is we've been stuck in that place of, okay, we've been building, and I call this the never-ending prototyping and gathering of requirements and building bespoke solutions for unique individuals and groups, right? How much time do we spend doing that? So I'm going to actually do similar to Tomeka and go back to some of the points that team build presented in their opening arguments. Again, I agree with Roxanne. I agree with Tomeka. I agree with everybody around the fact. And honestly, I don't know how many analytics people here are also IOs, right? I despise building dashboards and metrics. It is the vein of my existence. But at the same time, it's the table stakes for our function. And in most organizations, you're still going to own that. So while we can't just say, it's a tool, we have to build that, so allow us to then get to that place where we can start to add that real impact and value. I think also, I think that the idea of, absolutely having your definitions and calculations and really knowing what the business cares about is important before you build or you buy, right? And so I don't think that's a really good argument to say that building is better, right? Because you can do all of those things ahead of time. And I will say there are some vendors that can actually help out with drawing attention to data quality issues. And then lastly, not all of us can give IT access to our HR data, right? So we are limited there. And I think too that vendors have come a long way in terms of flexibility, customization, and really partnering with their customers.
Time's up.
Wow, that was a good rebuttals. All 6 of you, amazing. We are going to be moving in about 30 seconds into closing statements. I want to give everyone a moment to breathe before we get into our closing statements. And I want to thank the community, everybody here. There's so many people online. I love the comments. I was able to scroll through a little bit. Thank you for getting involved in this conversation. Again, it takes all of us to drive this change forward and learn. So I really appreciate the interaction, the fun, the spirit of all this. So thank you. And thanks to all the amazing debaters for your comments thus far. So now we move into conclusion, closing statements. We're going to start with Team Buy and then Team Build. And from Team Buy, Tomeka is going to be delivering closing arguments. So Tomeka, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. So first of all, I just want to thank everyone for such an engaging conversation that we're having about build versus buy. The arguments for building internally have been well articulated, highlighting some key benefits, such as what Roxanne had said about the point that internal teams really have a much deeper organizational understanding of their company. David talked about security and flexibility, and Yuyan talked about just vendor fails that she's experienced. While these points are compelling, we believe that purchasing people analytics solutions still remains the optimal choice for most organizations. And here's why. Most organizations are early in their political analytics journey and often face steep challenges in building the necessary data infrastructure and models. As highlighted by Craig, the complexities of designing and implementing HR data infrastructure and models are significant. And then drawing from both Craig and my personal experiences, we understand the difficulty of starting from scratch, where one must work backwards from desired outcomes to build an appropriate infrastructure. My second point is that pre-built solutions offer the advantage of starting with a proven structure that is aligned with the insights needed, making the initial phases of development more efficient and less error-prone. 3, even for those with the capability to build in-house, the trade-offs between building and buying are substantial, particularly in terms of time, cost, and scalability, as Michael pointed out. In conclusion, purchasing a ready-made people analytics solution enables teams to bypass tedious, time-consuming tasks. It allows them to focus on what truly matters, developing a robust people strategy. Ultimately, this is the core objective of any people analytics initiative. Thank you.
You, Tomeka, fantastic. David, you're going to close us out with team build. Your closing statement. Floor is yours.
Very good. Yeah, great arguments and presentations by all, and a great synopsis to make it. Obviously, as you've heard and probably can glean, this is not a black and white decision. It's not cut and dry. There are a lot of considerations, and the maturity of your organization, the infrastructure available to you in your organizational setup, your needs, your specific needs, that really influence the decision on what is the right solution here, right? I think where we are with team build is that there are indeed times when a vendor solution is optimum, right? Particularly when you need to get things running quickly that we think are probably in a short term, right? Or add on, bolt on capacity or capability initially to your team. And these are well suited, or particularly when one shoe fits all is really a quick deployment and really is a lot of value, right? The one shoe fits all is adequate, right? And it's not such a complex environment. Team build, we think in the longer term, for sustainable value producing growth and benefit for the organization, building is the way to go. Because once you start building, you just keep building at greater speed and adding greater value. And I think depending on what exactly the needs of your organization are, you can really tailor this. You can do it quite simply, and the effectiveness of people, the capability of people has become tremendous as well. You can redeploy, reshuffle, and build at the speed of need, for your future requirements in-house.
Well said. All right. Wow. This is, 45 minutes. Think about how much incredible thought and conversation has just been packed into 45 minutes. This is awesome. Thank you to all the speakers, debaters, great closing arguments. And now it is time for all of you to make a decision and cast your final vote. So Izzy, you can go ahead and put up the final vote. So this is to help us choose who wins. And remember, the way we decide is the largest percentage shift from the original vote to the vote that we're doing right now. So did team buy knock it out of the park, or did team build knock it out of the park? Please select your vote. And what I want to do right now while you're all voting is talk a little bit to the debaters. A couple of you, or almost all of you at some point said this isn't black and white, this isn't a binary decision. And I appreciate that. And so what I want to do is Roxanne, I'm going to pick on you. You probably would have guessed that, of course. To start, what did you learn, or from your perspective, listening to Team Buy? Were there some arguments made that you really liked that would fit in nicely with the build perspective? So just going to hand the mic to you for a moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the answer is yes, all of them. right? So it's, I hate to say that it depends thing, but it really does depend. And I've been loving the chats and the comments in the chat. So thank you, everybody. And there's so many factors that influence the ultimate decision, right? How big is your team? What's going on with your company? Have you been burned with a buy before? Have you had success building before? There's so many factors that will influence this decision, and so many things that can go right or wrong along the way and under either, that I think the probability of having success is really going to be based on the capability of your team, your vision, the budget and support you have to do this work. So I think the answer is there is no answer. But having the debate about it is really fun to really kind of, I called it on my LinkedIn post. It's a false dichotomy, because there's no simple one right or wrong answer. The answer really depends. And like you said, I think everybody kind of alluded to that in some way, and there's amazing arguments on both sides of the fence here.
I love that perspective. Craig, what are your thoughts from Team Buy?
From Team Build,
Oh.
Team Build. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for the arguments.
I mean, you're on Team Buy, but what as far as what did you learn from Team Build from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, A for effort. I mean, they tried their best. No, kidding. I learned a lot. I mean, I think what's clear and what we can all agree on is that there's more nuance to these decisions than the overarching question makes it out to be, right? It's not so clear cut. And I think as in most cases, the answer is it depends. Something Team Build said that I really identify with is that building trust with a business and facilitating change is the hardest part, right? That is the hardest part. So the technical challenges, though they can be challenging, they are relatively simple. Ultimately, I think it's about democratizing access to people data and strategic insights. And that really comes from internal relationships and partnerships with the HRBPs and heads of talent and whoever the stakeholders may be. And so I think if we don't solve that, the conversation or debate around should we build or buy is really a moot point. It's ultimately about driving action and facilitating change. And I really just appreciate and respect that point. I think it's an excellent point.
I completely agree. The voting period it is over, so we are going to have a winner. And to your point and Roxanne's point, it's meant to be fun. We're taking sides so we can all learn, right? There is common ground. It isn't black and white. We know this, but it depends, right? And there are different scenarios where it might make sense, in one way or the other. So learning, listening to all of you as experts is so helpful for organizations and everyone tuning in today. Anyone else have any final words from the debaters?
I'm just gonna I'm gonna echo, I think, we're kumbaya, right? I echo that. I think it really does depend, right? And obviously we are all speaking from our own experience, right? And what has really resonated or not resonated with us. But what I find is when it comes to, what I was trying to say, if we really want to add the kind of value that we have to add, we have to find ways to automate and scale some of those things that are maybe not as value added, right? And, we can do that potentially faster, right? But we also, to I think David's point as well, is we can be better reactive to the needs of our stakeholders. We can spend more time. We can ensure, that we're building something very specific to what they need, right? And I think that's important too, because those relationships, as Craig was saying, the relationships we have and the influence that we can have are incredibly important to the value we can bring as a function. At the same time, if we don't have a clear strategy in the organization and in the HR function or wherever like sits for how this insight, how we care about data, what questions we're gonna ask, we aren't all kind of in the same place. All we're doing is constantly chasing our tail. Yeah. Well, what do you need? How do you need it? Oh, I need it this way. I need it with this color. I need to be able to see this data with that data, right? And so, unless you have a huge team and the technical, infrastructure to be able to do that, buying sometimes allows you to almost say, well, and I know this is gonna sound terrible, but also say, you know what, this is what the system can do, right? Of course, you want to make sure you're selecting a system up front when you go through that very clear process of understanding what the actual needs are. You pick the vendor that is going to help you meet those needs and one that's going to really partner with you. You know, when you're building, when I have had to build, I'm just building all the time. And I'm building one dashboard for this person and one for that person, right? Because they don't have the flexibility in the actual interface itself to ask the questions they want to ask. And we can't possibly know everything that everybody wants to ask. So I find that, you know, there is value, right, in buying the vendor or the platform that is built in that flexibility.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that. Great points, Michael. Really appreciate that. And we are coming to that time in the program where we have a winner to announce. It's really interesting. I'm gonna build up a little anticipation because it's quite interesting what happened. How's that for anticipation? So as you're wondering, what does that mean? I do want to highlight again for those in London or who want to take just a vacation to London, come to our in-person debate on the 12th. And our topic is to debate we announced it this morning on the Great Debate LinkedIn page, and we'll be posting about it, is HR ready for AI? So we're tackling a little different topic. We're diving into the AI conversation and really, is HR ready for it, right? A lot more to come on that, but I encourage anybody in London, pre-register, get a ticket. We only have about 100 seats, so please join us. Okay, here we go. So Kinsey, you can interrupt me if what I see is not correct, but I think I have the details here. Again, thank you to both teams, both you know, all 6 of you gave incredible performances. And I want to remind everybody that it started when at the very beginning, team buy was at 54% of you voted for team buy. Team build was at 46%. So that was our starting point. And the answer is, not to keep you in suspense anymore, mathematically, and we're all data people here, and I'm going to walk you through this in a moment, but I am pretty excited to say, and this was not planned, it's a draw, everybody. Mathematically, it's a draw. And I'm going to walk you through the math in a moment. So let's give a virtual round of applause to both teams, to all debaters. So quick details on how did a draw happen. So the pre-debate poll before we started, we had 112 votes. 46, as I said, 46% of you chose build, 54% chose buy. The mid-debate, build went to 41%. So build went from 46 to 41. Buy went from 54 to 59%. So that was midway through. Our final post-debate poll had 112 votes. So same amount of votes. And 46% of you supported build, and 54% of you supported buy. So we have an absolute draw. So we had some movement in the middle, but in the end, we ended up having a draw. Kinsey, I'm going to make sure this is really important because calling it a draw. Did I get all that right?
Yes, you have.
Okay.
We have no movements in pre and post debate votes, so it's a draw.
So that's pretty amazing. So, and you know what I love about that is I think it really helps summarize what we were all talking about at the end. The winner is decide what's necessary for your organization, right? Building might be the right way to go. Buying might be the right way to go, a combination. But you just learned from some of the best experts and minds around why building is more important in some cases and why buying is more important in other cases. So So I'm pretty excited about those results. So everybody wins.
I think it's great. I think it's great.
Yeah. So that was yeah, who could have guessed that one? So again, I want to also thank People Analytics World, thank all the debaters, thank Pearson again, and Credly for helping us with the accreditation and the badges that will be awarded as you all enter into the Great Debate Hall of Fame. So welcome to the Great Debate Hall of Fame. And I want to get into a little audience Q&A. We have a few minutes left, so I'm going to go pop over to the Q&A tab, and we have we have a big long question. Take my glasses off. So I'm going to quickly read this while buying a solution. And if anyone has other questions, please drop them into Q&A. While buying a solution allows for quick deployment, lower initial costs, and vendor support, it comes with limited customization, dependency on vendor. On the other hand, building a People Analytics solution offers customization, control over data. For example, so I think you can all see Q&A. So everyone wants to read that. So the question is, what is the impact on sales after providing a set of training to maximize sales? This is because People Analytics starts with a question, not from out of the box solution.
Yeah, and I can start with that one. I think, in summary, what they're asking is, what about non-people data, right? And what about the questions we actually need to answer that either have nothing to do with the people data as the primary piece, they're just like a part of that puzzle. And the reality is, I think I put this in the chat, is if you'd asked me that 10 years ago, even 5 years ago for that one, none of the vendors are very good at being able to integrate data from multiple different systems, not just your HR systems. And that is not the case today, right? So I do agree, right, that these platforms are fundamentally starting with this, how can we answer how many people do you have and how many people left the company, and the more people kind of questions that we're traditionally using they're not business questions, right? Headcount isn't strategic. Get that, totally get that. But I think the vendors have really come a long way. The technology has come a long way that can enable you to bring in that data. Even if, let's say, you put your data in a data warehouse and then you just extract it from the data warehouse, sky's the limit. So, or a data lake.
Yeah, great response. Great question. Thank you for that question. The next question I think is a really important one. So I'd love for someone to jump into for this one, for Team Build, or really anybody can jump into this, but for Team Build specifically, how big are your teams? I get this question a lot in the work that we do, and how much does IT support your data structure?
Yeah, Dan, I can probably take this one because I have a small PA team that is building. I have 3 total reports where I'm hiring, so it's going to grow. But we're pooling resources with our corporate BI team on building our data infrastructure, right, on the data warehousing, data pipeline, and so there's a lot of there's some comments in the chat that says there's a lot of you have to hire data engineers. To specialize on it. It really depends on the circumstances of your organization. Like in our case, we have a readily available enterprise data infrastructure as a matter of getting us onboarded to that and securely, protect, and govern people data, right? So, we're not utilizing any resources that's pegged to our cost centers, and also those resources are not specialized to support HR, but we do have extremely close relationship with them. The engineers that support our teams have very intimate knowledge with our end up developing very intimate knowledge about HR data. It is a process, but I would say that it is a very cost-effective investment from a staffing perspective.
Well, thank you. Great response. And I appreciate the questions. We are at time. So any additional questions, I think we're, send us in any other speakers. And I believe would be happy to connect on LinkedIn and answer any questions that you might have. Again, I appreciate everyone. Remember People Analytics in New York on October 2nd, I think, if I got that wrong, Izzy or Barry or drop it in chat, but I think it's the second in New York. We did drop in a discount code for that as well. London, follow us on LinkedIn. Again, round of applause. This is so much fun. I love doing this. It's different. It's fun. And thank you to the audience and everyone who joined and all your comments. I'm really looking forward to read through everything on the back end. Moderating, I wasn't able to read every comment, and I intend to read every single one. So thank you again so much. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Kinsey, any closing thoughts from you?
No, just a big thank you to Dan, who's our moderator, and Dan Rogan, as we call him.
The shaved head. It's just the shaved head thing. All right. Thank you, everybody. Great debate, great conversation, great topic. Appreciate all of you. Take care. Have an amazing weekend ahead, and we'll see you at the next debate.
Thank you, all the debaters. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.